Alright everybody, this is the Canon 7 I have today that I will be doing a review. So we're gonna go all through the specs and everything of the camera, and we will be loading the film in this camera as well. Canon produced these cameras I think in 1961, Japanese camera, and it actually has 3 versions of it. So you got the Canon 7, Canon 7S, and Canon 7SZ, and these were the last models of the rangefinder ever produced by the Canon. Well, these cameras have like a lens mount, so you will be having a big variety of lenses to choose from. L39 mount, so currently I have a Canon lens actually on it, 50 mils. The maximum aperture 1.4, beautiful lens as well. And this does has a metal shutter actually that I'll show you in a bit. A stainless steel metal shutter which goes up to 1,000th of a second. Maximum speed is 1,000th of a second. And viewfinder, rangefinder, pretty big viewfinder it has, and you can actually select the frame lines in it as well. That comes pretty handy actually. So let's say if you're using 35 mils of lens attached to this camera, so you can actually go ahead and change the frame lines, which you can see in the viewfinder. And yeah, it goes 35, then 50, then 85 and 100 is a combination, then 135 mils at the end. And light meter, it does has selenium cells light meter, which mine it's just pretty worn out, or there might have been some dust on the cells actually that I need to get rid of. But the needle actually goes up when exposed to the light, but it is not accurate. After all these years, it's worn out and pretty heavy, robust build, all metal, no plastics or anything. Okay, so we got the lens. So this is a self timer switch, which I don't personally use because I don't trust these switches at this age. I don't want to risk it, to be honest, using this. Okay, so lens and cell timer, selenium cell, and light meter. Then the parallax is actually on the rangefinder viewfinder. You can actually change it if it needs a little bit of correction. We have a little dial over here, which I'll show you. Little dial here actually, which you can just play around with if it needs correction, right? But mine is pretty good. And now this is the top. So we got the film rewinder here, then the line selector dial here, then the light meter, aperture settings. This does show the aperture readings. Let's say if you put a film of 400 ISO and you selected the shutter speed accordingly, so it's just gonna show you the aperture that will be required to expose the film correct. And yeah, so 1,000th of a second is the maximum. It does have a bulb, and T, I think that's for the flashes. No, actually X is for flashes, I think, if you gotta sync up the flash. And then T is actually it actually keeps the shutter open, I think, as long as it yeah, so it keeps the shutter open unless you change the shutter dial. Okay, so we got the on and off switches here. So when this line on the shutter button, this is the shutter button, right? When this line is on the black dot, that means the camera's on. The light meter will be reading the light, and it will just move the needle up and down if it's exposed to the light or whatnot. But if you move it to the red, you can't fire the shutter, and the light meter will be turned off as well, just to save, I don't know, just to save the cell's life, I don't know. But we do have a rewind option here as well. So when you're done with the film, just move this little dial to the R, and that will release the lock on the film inside, and then you can just rewind the film. Right, so okay, well, that was that, and this is the lever, the film lever here, and we got the shutter counting going on here, and this is your viewfinder. Pretty big viewfinder, actually. It is I think the biggest viewfinder I've ever seen in these rangefinders. And this little dial actually changes the sensitivity for the light meter. So when it is, I don't know if you guys can see it actually, when this, okay, I don't have a light here. When this little dial is pointing to the orange, when orange is just up here, so it's just gonna be sensitive mode for the light meter, which is for the indoors. And if we move it to the black, that's for the outdoors, so it's just gonna be less sensitive. And this button here can change the ISO speed, or the ASA, which we don't have it anymore, ASAs. And for the film loading, we got a lock at the bottom, but this does has a door mechanism, so hence door. Actually, that is actually I prefer, to be honest. I don't like the bottom loading. So all you gotta do is just open this lock down here, which has a locking mechanism here. So if you will see, the lock will open. So pull this lever here, and the door is gonna open. Okay. And a metal shutter. There you can see these are pretty good actually, as compared to the cloth ones. Cloth ones can just wear out and then have some light leaks in, but these are preferably better than the cloth ones. Let's load up the film then. Okay, so you can actually pull this lever through the rewind knob here, so that goes up. Then you can just put the film in here, drop this guy down until it locks itself. There we go. And pull the film in a little bit. And move, just roll it up a little bit, I would say. Oh, that was wrong. Alright. So this does has a cut in the spool actually, which is, I think it's in the middle. So There we go. So that little cut over here, that's just gonna be used for the film to just reel in. Make sure it's just nice and tight in there. Okay. And voila. So the film is loaded. Close the door. Lock this guy up. And this is the 400 ISO film. So I already have the ISO on the 400. So, and this is the 0, and that will be our first shot. And yeah, that was about it for the Rangefinder Canon 7. If you have any questions, leave a comment, and yeah, have a good day.